keys, Alma? They're probably the same, right?
One is a special and one is a
No,
regular.
but I have one on my desk and this one here.
Oh, the one from your desk.
On my desk is the one.
Mr. Mayor, it's time.
I'd like to call this special meeting to order. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mayor Donald Hewitt,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Margaret Morales,
Present.
Councilmember Mitch Lindemann, Councilmember Dania Acosta,
Present.
Councilmember Ray Shelton,
Present.
Councilmember Michael Valdenegro, Councilmember Jose Grijalva,
Here.
City Manager Ana Urquijo,
Present.
City Attorney Dennis Fitzgibbons,
Present.
City Treasurer Luis Pedrosa,
Present.
and Mr. Mayor, for the record, Council members Mitch Lindemann and Michael Valdenegro are excused.
Thank you very much. Item number 4, discuss a decision to call for and conduct an executive session under the authority of ARS 38-431.03 A, 4, and 7 for consultation with designated representatives and attorney of the public body in order to consider its position and instruct its representatives regarding potential litigation related to the certificate of purchase held by the city of Douglas on Cochise County, parcel number 409-22-077. May I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Shelton.
I move that the mayor and council enter into executive session.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Shelton, second by Ms. Morales to enter into executive session. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Acosta,
Yes.
Councilmember Shelton,
Yes.
Councilmember Grijalva,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Morales,
Yes.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, motion carries. We'll go into executive session at 5:32. I'd like to come back to regular session at 5:53, or I'm sorry, 5:54. May I have a motion to adjourn the executive session?
I make a motion that we adjourn the executive session.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Shelton, second by Mrs. Morales to adjourn the executive session. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Ayes have it. We're out of executive session at 5:54. Item number 5, update on the certificate of purchase held by the city on Cochise County real property, parcel number 409-22-077. Direction has been given to staff to continue the litigation process on this particular parcel. So we'll be moving forward on that. So we have and that concludes the special meeting. We have about 5 minutes before we start our regular meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn our meeting.
Oh, that'll work too. So I have a motion by Ms. Morales, second by, thank you, Mr. Shelton to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? We stand adjourned at 5:55.
Thank you.
David, Mayor, good to see you. Mr. Shelton. Good. I'm gonna bail right afterwards.
After the meeting?
Anybody, or after this recognition, anybody wanna go hunting with me? Leaving first thing in the morning.
I do, but I'm going out.
I don't know when.
It's on the way.
Ask me next week.
I didn't have the heart to tell her I couldn't make it today too. Just kidding.
They're having this weekend, Veterans Day, they always have, it's a qualifying for, ever since they grew up, they have this whole week of,
Drop off an application. You and your wife will come down? You know what else? I'm looking for it. I'd love to get a secretary. Or a treasurer. I love a treasurer. Well, that she'll be treasurer over there at the law. It's just 1 year. It's not like a lifetime commitment. Because I'd like to get Debbie, I'd like to get Deborah in one piece. She can be ER. She's been stuck with secretary and treasurer. For the health spot? Yeah, I'm trying to get members over there. They need help. The secretary and treasurer, they're a great position. They would pay a lot.
I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Mayor and Council to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for an invocation by Pastor Abel Salcido.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor, please.
Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for this opportunity. Let us pray this evening. Heavenly Father, this evening we thank you for this opportunity for the City Council of Douglas, Arizona to gather here today. Lord, I ask you that you grant our Mayor and City Council the blessing of a safe and blessed meeting. Let their discussions and plans be wholesome, and may your wisdom be with each of them this evening, so that when this meeting concludes, we can walk away with a greater insight and understanding of what is to be discussed and accomplished today. Grant that they may be fruitful in all that is pursued. We thank you this evening in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Pastor, before you leave, can you tell us a little bit about your ministry down here, please?
My name is Abel Salcido. I'm the pastor of Pentecostal Lighthouse at 833 East 16th Street. I actually live in Tucson, but we come down and we work here in Douglas. We've been here for four or 4.5 years, pastoring now, and we like this town. We like the city, and we want to say thank you for this opportunity to be able to represent our church here this evening. We're looking forward to working with the City Council and all of you folks, the City of Douglas. And if there's anything we can do to help, we would be more than glad to do so.
Thank you, Pastor. Would you also introduce your lovely wife to us?
Her name is Connie Salcido.
Thanks for coming, Connie. Appreciate it, Pastor.
Thank you very much.
Item number 4, roll call, please.
Mayor Donald Hewish,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tempore Margaret Morales, present. Councilmember Mitch Lindemann, Councilmember Dania Acosta, present. Councilmember Ray Shelton,
Present.
Councilmember Michael Valdenegro, Councilmember Jose Grijalva,
Here.
City Manager Ana Urquijo, present. City Attorney Dennis Fitzgibbons, here. City Treasurer Luis Pedrosa,
Present.
thank you. And Mr. Mayor, for the record, council members Mitch Lindemann and Michael Valdenegro are excused.
Thank you very much. Item number 5, persons wishing to address the council in writing or verbally on any item not on the agenda. We have 2 requests this evening, one from Dr. Michael Gomez and one from his dear wife, Wendy Gomez. But Wendy's not feeling strong enough, so we're going to give Dr. Gomez both times, if that's okay.
Thank you.
I assumed you approved that, Wendy.
I did.
Okay.
Well, we're representing both.
Thank you.
I wanted to give a brief, and some people not date on what happened to get this deal lit. I hope I have the timeline in order. Because of my age, I'm going to have to retrack. But when we first started, we wanted to run an electric line from the bottom of the hill to the top. And we asked APS how much it would cost. And he said, you need an easement first. So Mr. Ambriz said, I'll get it. So we traveled all the way to find out who owned the D hill so we could get an easement. And he was very, very important to us for getting the information. He came back and he says, it belongs to a man that owns property all over the western states, and his office is in either San Francisco or Santa Clara. So he told me the contact. I called up, and the secretary answered, And then it says, what do you want? I said, your boss owns up to a third of the D hill, and we need a waiver or an easement to run that electric line. And says, well, I'll tell my boss. It wasn't 30 minutes. The big guy called and he says, what do you want to do? I said, we want a permission to run on your property 4 poles with electric line. He says, go ahead and do it. Then we found out from a list that we had to get from the other 2/3. So we got a hold, he told us to get a hold of Crump. Crump bought what, that other guy that used to have the pawn shop, that either sold it or gave him part of the property. So he gave us permission for the other 2/3. Then Andres needs some more stuff. He says, you don't need it from the bottom of the hill. You can get it, there's a disc out there, and he says, it's a lot closer. He says, but after more studies, he says, it's on BLM land. So here we go. We get a hold of BLM and says, we want an easement to run the electric line up to D Hill. And then they came back, BLM, and says, okay, we'll give you a lease for 10 years for $1,000. Paid $1,000. We got a hold of APS, we have an easement up to that area, still prohibited. It would have wiped us out. So then, Dave Raber just would not give up. He says to Rotary, why don't we set up a solar little light up there? And he called me up, and he went up in the dark and set up this little light. And he said, can you see it? I said, I can see that light up there. Okay, he says, we'll do it. We'll try and put it 6 feet apart or 8, I can't remember. Then we saw 2 lights and said, let's go for solar. And that's how it became to be solar. Now, the fact of the matter was that then to finance it, we said, buy a bucket for $50. $50. Well, that only raised $4,000. The fact was, when we got the concrete, the buckets, put the names on the buckets, it kind of wiped us out. We spent all what we had in reserves. So we finally did manage to get enough money, and that's how the lid got up. But another important person, besides Mr. Priest, all he did to get all the information. I don't see Ms. Pedrosa here, and generally she's over there. She was very instrumental in getting money. I went to her 7 years ago, and I said, will you give me the people that do business with Douglas, because we need sponsors for Run to the D, our rights to the children, and that's how we were getting money for Light the D. And Ms. Pedrosa told me, how many months later?
32 seconds.
32 seconds. Well, I'll come back. Do I have a waiver for just 2 minutes?
Yes,
more?
you do.
Okay. Then I went to Ms. Pedrosa and I said, who does business with the city? And she gave me names because I was going to try and get money from them. I did get a few $100 here and there. But Ms. Pedrosa called me 2 days later and says, I got you $1,000. I said, $1,000 who from? The people that insure the staff. And every year for about 7 years, she got me $1,000, your wife. And I was trying to recognize her tonight. She got us $7,000 or $8,000. And we were going to have another event to get us some more money to maintain the lights. And we weren't able to because of COVID. And I said, well, we'll return the money to the insurance company. And they told us, keep it. So She was very instrumental in funding another one, and I'll just quit after this one because it's a long story. Weta gave me a basket, and all of you saw that I was referencing a basket at the fundraisers. He gave me a basket every year without any, delivered it to my house. I got at least around $800 on the raffle of that basket of liquor. Beautiful basket. And she is one also that got me somewhere around $6,000. And that's, I just want to let you where the money came from. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gomez. It was a wonderful project, and we appreciate you sticking around long enough to see it happen.
And it's so neat, Doctor, that on 12th Street, it's lined up perfect with it when you go by our houses. So, it's really neat.
We also have Mr. Frank Ambris. Please.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The reason I'm coming before the Council is that I've been getting calls from property owners, commercial contractors about a building that's going on H Avenue and H Street without any setbacks. And if you remember, we discussed this on carports, that the council didn't want to come to the property line because it was the traffic in the area. This building is right on the property line, and that building should have been constructed by a contractor, not by an individual, because if somebody gets hurt in there or an accident, I think all of us will have a lawsuit on our hands to pay. So, and then they're not coming in when they're doing remodeling jobs for the city, the private individuals. So we're losing revenue for taxes for the city of Douglas. There are several buildings that are being constructed without permits. Here we are, we want revenue. We have it in front of our eyes here in our hands, but we're not taking any action. I encourage all the council to go by H Avenue and H Street. You see a metal building going up. Apparently they don't have any property standards development, or like a what do you call it, a detention basin. We're going to be flooding people like we have done back on H Street toward Washington, on that area. We need to either enforce our regulations that we have, or put them aside and let everybody do whatever they want to. That's my comment, and as a planning and zoning chairman, I bring this to your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Ambris. Mr. Kiko, would you please look into those items and report back to the council? And Mr. Ambris, please.
Will do. Thank you.
Item number 6, Presentational Awards. Unfortunately, Dr. Ed and Linda Gomez were unable to make it this evening, so we'd like to honor someone in our community that's gone the extra mile, that we recognized last month, but he was unable to attend the meeting also. So, Mr. Ken Nelson. Ken Nelson is a longtime resident of Douglas, Arizona, who has generously invested his time into giving back to the community through countless hours of service. He generally logs 400 to 800 volunteer hours a year. In 2021, he has logged 528 volunteer hours and counting. Whether he is coaching Douglas Little League, or youth football and cheer, or volunteering weekly at the American Legion Post 11, his service continually benefits the youth, veterans, and community of Douglas. Mr. Nelson has also served on many boards, to include the Elks Lodge 955, Cochise County Fair Association, City of Douglas Finance Committee, Douglas Chino Poblanas Organization, City of Douglas Council, City of Douglas Youth Activity Fund, and the Southern Arizona Youth Football and Cheer League. It is my honor to present this certificate of appreciation to an outstanding member of our community, Mr. Ken Nelson.
thank you.
You want to take our picture because we're so good looking.
Wow. I didn't think it was this award.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you.
To clarify the good luck wishes from Mr. Shelton, because back in the good old days, on Veterans Day, there would be a Douglas Bisbee football game, and then again on Thanksgiving. So it was that time of the year.
Used to be a neat time for both cities to have those games.
Addendum items, number 1, presentation, reading of Veterans Day Proclamation. Whereas the fields of war-torn Europe, the jungles of Southeast Asia, from the deserts and mountains of Iraq and Afghanistan, on warships at sea, and a multiple of conflicts both known and unknown, brave patriots protected our nation, rescued millions from tyranny, and help spread freedom around the world. And whereas our veterans have served and continue to serve at home and around the world, the words of the first proclamation in 1954 by President Dwight D. Eisenhower still ring true. I quote, "Let us solemnly remember the sacrifices of all those who fought valiantly on the seas, in the air, and on foreign shores to preserve our heritage and freedom, and let us consecrate ourselves to the task of promoting and enduring peace, so that their efforts shall not have been in vain." Close quote. And whereas the city of Douglas, Arizona, a Purple Heart city, along with the rest of the nation, is forever indebted to our veterans for their quiet courage and exemplary service. We are proud to recognize veterans and extend our appreciation to those who have worn and wear the uniforms of the United States Armed Forces. And whereas it is through their caring family, friends, God, and country, they display the ultimate courage that makes our nation the home of the brave and land of the free. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that I, Donald C. Hewish, Mayor, and on behalf of the Council, do hereby proclaim November 11, 2021 as Veterans Day in the City of Douglas, and urge and encourage all to recognize the bravery and sacrifice of our veterans through ceremonies, recognition, and direct appreciation. I call upon local citizens to display the flag of the United States and to support and participate in patriotic activities in the community. I invite civic and fraternal organizations, places of worship, schools, businesses, unions, media, and all citizens to support this national observance with commemorative expressions and programs. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the City of Douglas to be affixed this 10th day of November 2021. Can't thank the veterans enough for all they've done for us. Item number 2, a proclamation regarding Small Business Saturday. Whereas the City of Douglas, Arizona celebrates our local small businesses and the contributions they make to our local economy and community. According to the United States Small Business Administration, there are 31.7 million small businesses in the United States that represent 99.7% of firms with paid employees, and they are responsible for 65.1% of net new jobs created from the year 2000 to 2019. And whereas small businesses employ 47.1% of the employees in the private sector in the United States, 88% of U.S. consumers feel a personal commitment to support small businesses in the wake of the pandemic, and 92% of small business owners have pivoted the way they do business to stay open during the pandemic. And whereas 97% of small business Saturday shoppers recognize the impact they can make by shopping small, 85% of them also encourage friends and family to do so too. And whereas 56% of shoppers reported that they shopped online with a small business on Small Business Saturday in 2020. And more than 50% of consumers who reported shopping small endorsed a local business on social media or shopped at a local business because of a social media recommendation. And whereas the City of Douglas, Arizona supports our local businesses that creates jobs, boost our local economy, and preserve our community. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Donald C. Hewish, Mayor, and on behalf of the City of Douglas Council, do hereby proclaim November 27, 2021 as Small Business Saturday, and urge the residents of our community and communities across the country to support small businesses and merchants on Small Business Saturday and throughout the year. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Douglas to be affixed on the 5th day of November 2021. Can't say enough about shopping local and small businesses. Thank you for your patience in allowing me to read those. Item number 7, discussion, decision on approval of consent agenda items. Item A, expenditures for the month of October 2021, totaling $1,103,010.82. And B, meeting minutes for September 8, September 14, September 29, and October 13, 2021. May I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Morales?
I move that Mayor and Council approve consent agenda items A and B as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Morales, second by Mrs. Acosta to approve the consent agenda items as read. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Acosta?
Yes.
Councilmember Shelton?
Yes.
Councilmember Grijalva?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Morales?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, motion carries. Item number 8, discussion decision on approvals. Item A, third reading of ordinance number 21-1140, an ordinance of the Mayor and Council of the City of Douglas, Cochise County, Arizona, authorizing the sale of a semi-improved parcel of land located on the 900 block of 2nd Street, lots 13 through 16, within parcel number 409-14-093 to Joseph L. Garcia and Maria de la Luz Garcia, husband and wife, pursuant to terms entered into by the parties, establishing severability of components of ordinance and establishing an effective date thereof. Mr. Pedrosa, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, members of council. This is the third reading of for the authorization to sell property to Mr. and Mrs. Joseph Garcia. They have purchased lots 11 and 12 within parcel 409-14093C in November of 2020 with a stipulation of right of first refusal for the remaining lots of that make up 13 to 16. The couple want to exercise that right to purchase those remaining lots for the agreed upon price of $20,000. Just a little history. The city sold the building in back of the Garcia's property. That was 919 13th Street to Cass. And at that point, Mr. Garcia saw some activity, a lot of school activity around his home, parking around his area, therefore approached the city to buy those parcels adjacent to his property to have better security. Now he wants to go through with the entire remaining parcel, purchase those remaining lots. The purpose that he wants to do is to again secure the property and also to develop it in the future. He currently is maintaining the lot, even though it's not his. That means he's cutting the grass and watering the trees. The contract established is a 5-year payment plan for Mr. Garcia. The first payment starting in March of 2022, and $5,000 for the first 3 years, $2,500 for the last 2. He wishes to remain open to paying that off earlier if finances allow him to do. Staff recommends upholding the agreement of right of first refusal as originally established in November 2020 and selling the properties or the lots to Mr. and Mrs. Joseph Garcia for the purchase price of $20,000. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Pedrosa. May I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move that the mayor and council approve the third reading of ordinance number 21-1140 by number and title only.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Shelton, second by Ms. Morales, to that the mayor and council approve the third reading of ordinance number 21-1140 by number and title only. Discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Councilmember Acosta?
Yes.
Councilmember Shelton?
Yes.
Councilmember Ricalda?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tempore Morales?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, motion carries.
In ordinance of the Mayor and Council of the City of Douglas, Cochise County, Arizona, authorizing the sale of a semi-improved parcel of land located on the 900 block of 2nd Street, lots 13 through 16, within parcel number 409-14-093, to Joseph L. Garcia and Maria de la Luz Garcia, husband and wife, pursuant to terms entered into by the parties, establishing severability of components of ordinance and establishing an effective date thereof.
Thank you. Item 8B, second reading of ordinance number 21-1141. An ordinance of the mayor and council of the city of Douglas, Cochise County, Arizona, amending Title 13 of the Douglas Municipal Code relating to public water and sewer services by amending ordinances 755, 01-904, 09-973, 20-1117, pertaining to water and sewer fees and charges for services under Chapter 13.08, establishing severability of components of ordinance and establishing an effective date thereof. Mr. Pedrosa, I know we've gone over this a few times in open meeting. Is there any clarifications or questions that have been posed that we need to answer for the public?
Mr. Mayor, I don't have any. I am ready to present as the council wishes, whether we need to go over some small overview. We can do that.
Is that okay with everyone?
Sure.
Okay. Please.
Just the city commissioned an independent study to look at our rates, and it was determined that our rates are inadequate to keep up with the current and the expected future costs to service the city of Douglas systems for water and sewer. The rates have not been increased since 2012, which were enacted sometime in 2008, 2009. It's not only were our costs studied, but also we were compared to other cities and entities. We were determined to be one of the lowest in the state for servicing water and sewer. The needs that need to be addressed are in the water side. We need to drill new wells or re-drill existing wells, 3 to be exact, at $1.6 million estimated for each. Use SCADA system, which is our electronic system that keeps track of our different water levels and chemicals. But that's about $1.3 million. Heavy and small equipment, water line replacement, backup generators at $300,000. For the sewer side, we're looking at a lot of line replacement. We just ran an estimate of about 5 blocks, it would cost about $500,000 to contract that service out. We obviously have more than 5 blocks to replace. We also need heavy and small equipment to be replaced. The proposal is to look at water to increase both the base fee and the consumption fee increase, and to increase more on the consumption side to leave those that consume less at lesser impact than those that consume more, and basically put those fees out over a period of 5 years. The base fee to be increased 2.5% for the first 3 years and 3.5% for the last 2 years. And the consumption rate to be increased the first 3 years 5% and the last 2 years 8.5%. That translates to on an average customer of 5,000 gallons of consumption. It translates to 61 cents for the first year, 63 cents for the second year, 66 cents for the third year, $1.03 for the fourth year, $1.09 for the fifth year. Pulling those up just for the public to see, and it's about $4.02. Again, that's an average customer total increase after year 5. For the sewer, it's a very basic 4% across the board for the next 5 years. That is for your basic residential customer, is $5.42. Another aspect of this ordinance change is that we found out that through COVID, we were more efficient in taking payments. When we closed our doors, we actually started taking a lot of payments over the phone and on the internet. So a lot of that utilization remained even past COVID when we started opening up our doors, and we realized that we want to encourage that more, making us more efficient here. Therefore, we want to eliminate the 2.5% credit card surcharge fee to further increase that participation to pay over the internet or over the phone or with credit card. It also minimizes risk in handling cash, just many different aspects. We realize that the more participation we get, that cost becomes less for us to absorb based on the efficiencies that we gain. Mayor, with that said, I'd be happy to answer questions from the mayor and council.
Thank you. May I have a motion first?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mrs. Morales.
I move that mayor and council approve the second reading of ordinance number 21-1141 and to place it on third reading by number and title only.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Morales, second by Mr. Shelton, to approve the second reading of ordinance number 21-1141 and to place it on third reading by number and title only. Discussion, questions? Mrs. Acosta, please.
I still feel like we haven't done enough to address the effects that this increase is going to have on our fixed income folks. I understand that that there is a consumption differential or rate, that shouldn't impact the folks that are on fixed incomes as much as those with higher consumptions. However, an increase, the final increase, which would be a little over $9 a month, can mean the difference between medication and having to pay this water bill, or the difference. I know that there's the federal government just announced an increase to Social Security, but that is only going to balance out the increases to Medicare and the inflation that everybody's seeing right now throughout the country. So we need to think about
this population that we have and that is the most vulnerable, because they are on a fixed income. $9 may not seem like a whole lot to some people, but for others it is. And I believe that the new infrastructure bill that was just passed by both Senate and the House will address some of these needs, these water and sewer infrastructure needs. I know that it's a toss-up as far as how much we were to get out of that, but I mean, if we could keep this population in mind and see what it is that we could do to better serve them. I understand the needs that we have, and it's an essential function for our city to operate, but we do need to be cognizant of the struggles that our vulnerable population has.
Thank you, Mrs. Costa, very well put. Anyone else?
Yes, I'd like to
Mr. Shelton, please.
say something. We're very fortunate here to have what we do have at the cost it's unbelievable. Some of the other places I've been in the state and across our country, we're very fortunate to have the rates we have right now. And, garbage collection twice a week, sewer system, good quality water. So to keep it up, we're going to have to, we're going to have to help out. Now, how about grants? Can we get grants to help us out? I'm sure we could. We need to look at that.
Mr. Shelton, thank you for that question. And we are. And actually, we were able to minimize more of the recommended increases that the study recommended we increase on the water side, based on us being able to obtain at least one grant for one of the wells. But as you know, those are very much competitive, not guaranteed. And also, when you apply for these grants, you need to show that you're financially sound as well, and that you're going to be able to pay for the maintenance, the ongoing maintenance for those costs, and that you're going to be able to sustain yourself after you acquire these grants. So it's important to show that that fiscal strength there that shows that you will be able to back those costs.
Well, you say that, but with your leadership, we have it. You've done a great job with our business. We have a good credit rating, and I think there shouldn't be too much of a problem if that's the situation.
Short answer is we're going to go for every grant that that's going to be available to us.
Okay.
But again, we just cannot count on them at this point.
Okay. Well, we need to give it all we have. So that's fine.
Thank you, Mr. Shelton. Anyone else? How often should these rates be reviewed normally?
It is recommended that every 5 years you review your rates and see where you're at based on, like was mentioned, inflation and your cost of doing business, is that you look at it every 5 years. That's the recommendation from our consultant.
Thank you. Any other discussion or questions? Anyone asked to speak from the public on this issue?
I do not have any public participation requests, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Anybody here that may not have filled something out but would still like to speak to this? Please come on up. If you please identify yourself and then speak.
Good evening. My name is Jerry Gonzalez, and I'm a farmer by trade, but I've been in the conservation business for 40 years. Water is one of the issues that has been looked at length and in depth. That is what determines how we evolve as a community, as an area, and I know that it's hard to squeeze some more money out of people, but $10 is not a lot of money to maintain the integrity of the lifestyle that we have, and also be hopeful of sustained growth and sustainability. I would venture to say there's a lot of other sacrifices that you could make, but not with water. Water is affecting everybody in this region of the state. I meet with farmers and ranchers, and that's a big topic. And I hope you don't get to that point where we're at right now, trying to sustain the ag community. Douglas is good because of your leadership, and there's some hard choices that need to be made. But water is the most precious of all of the natural resources you have. Without water, you're going to have to reevaluate, re-strategize, and come up with another plan. Nobody's giving water away. It's going to get tighter in the future, so if you can lock it in. And those wells are very expensive. The operation and maintenance of that is incredible, but that is the livelihood. That's your bloodline in this community, in our community, to keep going. You cannot attract business that requires water or anything like that. If water is the limitation. So I would say, as tough as it is, I would encourage each one of you to really think hard and not sacrifice our future by limiting water supply. So the quality and quantity of water.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Appreciate that. Anyone else? Oh, sure. Mrs. Acosta, please.
You've mentioned that there's 3 wells now that need to be replaced or
Deepened.
did this happen all at once, or has this been a gradual deterioration of wells?
Our water table has been decreasing over the past few years. A study that we just completed this year revealed that we need to start deepening those wells or redrilling new wells. So that's what basically determined that, and we already have some direction as to where we need to go. It's just the funding that needs to follow.
Anything else,
Yes.
Mrs. Acosta?
Is there anything that could be done to address the population that I'm most concerned about? I understand that $10 is not a lot of money, but for some people it can be. So that's my concern.
I believe we have asked staff to look at any social service programs that through SEGO or anybody else that may be able to help us. So I don't know if we've got back from them yet on any possibilities or any thoughts in that area.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we have services that help with that. A lot of services, the services available is St. Vincent de Paul here, CCAP. SEGO has helped some in the past, and the local churches as well.
But those services are for emergency purposes, as like a one-time
It's for any assistance. Yeah.
It's not just, I'm talking about ourselves within the city. What could we do to possibly either subsidize this increase for just that select population? I've seen it. I know and I was ignorant to this problem for people who are on fixed income, but in my experience with healthcare, I see it. I see where sometimes the choice is between medication or the rent or whatever these bills. Obviously these utilities are very much needed, and I know it's a tough balancing act, but with that in my mind, I can't consciously say that an increase across the board to everybody is something fair, and it should be something that we should think about for this
Thank you.
demographic.
Thank you very much. I'd like the staff to continue to look into, see whatever they can find. Greatly appreciate it. Mr. Shelton, did you have something else?
Yes, once again, Mr. Gonzalez is the authority of Cochise County, Grand County, Southern Arizona on this matter. And I would like to either personally see the reports or have it explained to us at the next meeting on what's happening with the wells compared to 4 years ago, 5 years ago. That way we understand what the situation is, because water is priority. That's number one natural resource. And then I will agree with Ms. Costa. Have we looked into maybe a state or a federal thing to help out people that might not be able to pay this or pay part of it?
We can look further into those programs, Mr. Shelton.
But yeah, that way we know.
If they're available.
Yeah, but the old saying is, you can pay me now, or you can pay me much more later. So
Thank you, Mr.
that's
Shelton.
the way I look at it.
That's good. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Acosta?
No.
Councilmember Shelton?
Yes.
Councilmember Grijalva?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Morales?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, motion carries.
An ordinance of the Mayor and Council of the City of Douglas, Cochise County, Arizona, amending Title 13 of the Douglas Municipal Code related to public water and sewer services by amending ordinances 755, 06-904, 09-973, 201117 pertaining to water and sewer fees and charges for services under Chapter 13.08, establishing severability of components of ordinance and establishing an effective date thereof.
Thank you. Item number 8C, resolution number 21-1481, a resolution of the Mayor and Council of the City of Douglas, Cochise County, Arizona, authorizing the City of Douglas, a municipal corporation, to participate in the One Arizona Distribution of Opioid Settlement Funds Agreement to provide financial relief to communities as a result of the effects of the opioid pandemic. Mr. Pedrosa, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Settlement agreement was reached with regarding opioid litigation brought by states and local political subdivisions against the pharmaceutical distributors known as McKesson, Cardinal Health, Amerisource, Bergen, and Janssen Pharmaceuticals Incorporated. The city has the option to participate in the settlement and is entitled to part of the cash settlement as a result of the opioid epidemics which affected all communities. There's approximately $22.7 billion on the settlement that participating states and subdivisions can be a part of. By the state participating in the settlement, it's estimated that the city could receive approximately $363,000. And this is an approximate number, it all depends on how many communities participate. So we don't know, it's just a calculation at this point. The use of this funding must be utilized to respond to the opioid epidemic crisis and have determined possible eligible uses for the funding. And one of those, or two of those, is the use of Narcan for police and public safety, and training for officers and EMTs as well. We are also exploring other possibilities for public safety services, as well as partnering with outside agencies that provide support services that could benefit the community to provide them funding for their programs as a result of the services to battle the opioid pandemic. Staff recommends that it's in the best interest to participate in the settlement agreement. Otherwise, if we wanted to receive any compensation, we would need to take our own litigation, which it's again, our recommendation is to just participate with all other participating entities. And again, this will make us eligible for that funding, and will be determined at the point that all agencies show their participation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pedrosa. May I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Mrs. Morales?
I move that mayor and council approve resolution number 21-1481.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Morales, second by Mrs. Acosta, to approve resolution number 21-1481. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, please, Mr. Grijalva.
I want to thank staff for looking into this and getting these much needed funds, and also to our first responders. You know, I have to be honest with this. I know my ward has a problem with opioids and drug problems, so hopefully we can educate staff more, and also the community. If we could throw it into these funds into the community for more, for educational purposes, or also some type of community training if they see something like this happen, so they can know what to do. It would be much appreciated, but thank you.
Well said, Mr. Grijalva. Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor, just
Yes, please, Mrs. Morales.
I just wanted to ask, how soon would these funds be available to the city?
We know that today's the deadline for cities to participate, to show their participation. Short answer is we don't know. It just depends on the entire process taking hold and how long the litigation would go on. But we can keep you informed of that.
Okay. No, this would be very beneficial. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Please, Mrs. Acosta.
Do we know what type of services these funds would be used for? Do we have an idea of what we, how we can assist?
It's anything that has to do with treatment of opioid addiction, or services as a result of the opioid crisis, anything in that. So that's why we're kind of looking to get some more guidance as to what type of programs qualify for that. We know immediately that training for our officers to respond to that is eligible, as well as Narcan. Those are things that are specified, but other programs, we need a little bit more guidance from other sources. So we'll come back with more information on that.
Okay, just as a reminder, there's the Maya Juez Consortium who provides the training, and they'll go out to any organization, school, anywhere to provide the training as well. And I'm sure Chief Fullen knows or is aware of that because they work hand in hand with him.
And Chief Fullen has some ideas as well with the entities that they deal with to be able to enhance those services that we currently have. We know that this money is nice, but we know that it takes a lot more to battle what's going on out there. But hopefully we can impact those agencies serving those issues with whatever we can help. But I know that there's some ideas there that we're going to start exploring to see if this money can help.
Excellent, thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Acosta?
Yes.
Councilmember Shelton?
Yes.
Councilmember Grijalva?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tempore Morales?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, motion carries. Item number 8D, authorizing the entry into an agreement between the City of Douglas and the Arizona Department of Corrections, Rehabilitation, and Reentry, ADCRR, for sewer services. Mr. Pedrosa?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The agreement between the city and ADCRR, formerly known as DOC or ADOC, began in June 2000 and is now expired as of May 2021. ADCRR wishes to renew the agreement in order for the city to continue the wastewater treatment services that we currently provide. In 1993, then DOC built a sewer main line from the prison location along Highway 191 towards our wastewater treatment plant on Chino Road. ADCRR paid $5.3 million for that. It also included paying $910,000 for the city to expand its secondary clarifier to bring more capacity to the treatment plant at that point. It was agreed that DOC would receive a credit for those $910,000 to be repaid back. ADCR has been billed $2,500 per month for sewer service, and average throughout the years about a $3,671 per month credit for since 2000. The agreement also stated that ADCR would pay for any additional maintenance related to the treatment of their wastewater. A lift station and bar screen was necessary to be installed in order to properly treat that wastewater and convey it to a wastewater treatment plant. The city is to maintain the infrastructure, while ADCR would pay for any associated maintenance costs. The bar screen or lift station was deemed obsolete a few years ago, and it had several mechanical issues. In October 2021, the bar screen was replaced at a cost of $212,197, of which ADCR has agreed, per the agreement, to reimburse the city for the full amount. ADCR also received credit for any other commercial or residential connections made into that sewer main line that they installed back in 2000. That goes along Highway 191. The formula is that the length between where that location is to our wastewater treatment plant, they received a small credit amount. It basically amounted to $1.32 per month credit, very minimal to ADCR. The new proposed agreement will pay the actual amount that is charged per our fees. It's currently fixed at $150 a month plus $8.50 per 100,000 gallons treated, over 300,000 gallons treated per year. That's just the formula that's in our fees. So ADCR averages about 7.9 million gallons of wastewater that we treat for them on a monthly basis, which would average at this point about $7,425 a month that they would pay the city. ADCR did request for these fees to be implemented over a 5-year period. As they worked with us, we are working with them. So over the next 5 years, they'll see a $1 increase starting at $4.50 per the 100,000 gallons until we reach the $8.50 mark. And then after that, we will increase it even $1 further than what our actual fees are to recuperate the lower amount that we've charged for the past four years. So that amount will be gained, not lost. The ADCR is also aware of the intention to increase sewer fees, so we've also notified them in the agreement that the existing fees are set to increase if the mayor and council passes those rates as well. The agreement also continues to charge ADCR for maintenance of the infrastructure that is strictly dedicated to their treatment of sewer. It includes, again, lift station, bar screen at the actual cost. We have eliminated the credits that were in the original agreement, meaning that that sewer main line is ours now. Before, ADCR had interest in that sewer line, even though it was our maintenance. But now that sewer line is ours to maintain and to responsibility to replace. There's also 2 buildings there at BDI that are connected to sewer that are in the flow meter for ADCR, and they wish to obtain a credit for those buildings for their flow. And we agreed that it would be $65 a month. That's the commercial cost for each of those buildings. And just to touch further on the sewer line, what that means is that we we will have to maintain that, and we will have to structure our fees to be able to replace that at some point. I mean, a sewer line's basic lifetime is about 50 years, maybe 60 years. And what that means is that we have to amortize that cost of that sewer line, which at year 2000, it cost $4.1 million. At today's dollars, it's about $8.9 million to replace that sewer line. So that becomes our responsibility. So we need to make sure that we structure our costs to be able to replace something like that within our existing fees, or we basically have to borrow money to be able to do that. And we kind of worked out some numbers as to what that would entail. We would need to set aside from now on $178,000 a year to be able to replace that sewer line in the future. To summarize, Mayor, this is a 20-year agreement coming due, and we're excited to be able to now continue to service DOC. We know how important they are to our community, and to continue to provide that sanitary service to them, and at the actual cost that it is. We understand that we were not charging them before due to the improvements they made to our wastewater treatment plant, and that debt is already repaid. Therefore, we wish to continue to service them and charge them to the schedule presented before.
Thank you, Mr. Pedrosa. May I have a motion, please?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Shelton.
I move the mayor and council approve the agreement between the city of Douglas and the Arizona Department of Corrections, Rehabilitation, and Reentry for constitutional sewer services, or continuation, I'm sorry.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Shelton, second by Mr. Grijalva, to approve the agreement between the City of Douglas and the Arizona Department of Corrections, Rehabilitation, and Reentry for continuation of sewer services. Any questions or discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, please, Ms. Acosta.
What is the average gallons of waste treated per month for the city?
Oh, for the city, we have about a maximum treatment capacity of 3.1 million gallons per day in our treatment plant. I don't have those daily flows for the entire city, but we treat way below that. We're our minimum amount, or our basically our maximum is 3.1, but it goes to treat approximately 2.5 to 3.1 is our range. So we can treat between that range, 3.5 million gallons per day. Okay.
And the rates here, what are those rates based on? Was that also found through a study?
There are actual rates per Title 13 of our code. So they're established for commercial use, which they're considered that, and they qualify under the rates of, since they are a user that consumes more than 300,000 gallons per year, they fall under those commercial rates.
Anything else, Ms. Acosta?
Were these rates at all considered through the study that was done earlier with the water rate increase?
Yes.
And what was the findings on that?
The findings were that we consider those future sources coming into city coffers. Those revenues for the first year is about 17,000 additional amount per year, 28,000 in the second year, 38,000 in the third year, 48,000 in the fourth year, and 59,000 in year 5 in additional revenue to be received by the city. But again, the study considered the entire cost to provide service and the revenues that we have and future revenues that we will have. So those models were put in place to not just in today's cost and revenues to project them out. So we also increased
our projected revenues as well as our projected costs. And I mentioned earlier the cost to absorb that sewer line is a lot larger than the cost, the revenue that will be coming in. So that's something that when that comes due, we'll have to borrow money to be able to replace that entire sewer line.
And what was that sewer line first installed? I'm sorry if I missed it. 2000?
It was in 2000. That's when service first began at the prison, in 2000.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Ambrish, you can hook up your outhouse now. There is a hookup fee though.
Overnight.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Acosta,
Yes.
Councilmember Shelton,
Yes.
Councilmember Grijalva,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tempore Morales. Yes. Mr. Mayor,
Yes, motion carries. Item number 16, City Manager Report. Mrs. Urquijo, please.
Thank you. Mayor, members of the council, I'm in the middle of my 4th week here. I just want to report it's been extremely busy and becoming updated with staff, organization, and just community projects. It's been a wonderful 4 weeks, definitely hit the ground running, making an effort to really meet individually with each city employee one-on-one to exchange objectives, challenges, and needs, just in a learning capacity, to get kind of the ball rolling on really strengthening a cohesive team, meeting with many partners out in the community as well. Very impressed with staff's ownership and passion for the work that they do, as is evident from Mr. Pedrosa finishing up all items and bringing council up to date. So I plan to be coming back to Mayor and Council with some concepts and ideas, and just very happy to be back. I want to just be very brief and let everyone know border is open as of November 8th of this week for those vaccinated, and we are hopeful for the increase of activity across the border, and the mayor may have more to state on just that in general. Want to make the announcement that we did have an issue with the Saddle Gap mobile home and RV park sewer issues in the past. Happy to say they have been resolved over the last couple of weeks. As part of this year's Christmas drive, want to make sure that we make an announcement that we have, through the fire department, ordered 450 jackets for local K through 5 school-aged children, and hoping that no child will be in need and go without a jacket this winter season. We do have Toys for Tots applications available also through our, may be filled out online, and more information of that can be made available through our website or through our fire department. We have distribution dates for all of that effort, also through our fire department. Just a quick recap on our very successful trunk or treat event. About 3,000 community members joined the fun at Veterans Memorial Park. So shout out to all of our recreation department for that. And that was also followed by a fall movie in the park show, and that went very well also. And a quick reminder on our Veterans Day parade tomorrow. The American Legion will be hosting that, and all festivities at Cochise County Fairgrounds once again this year. And then a tree lighting ceremony for Saturday, the 27th, right before our Thanksgiving Christmas parade, Saturday after Thanksgiving. And we have gone back to that traditional time of the year where many families do come back for Thanksgiving and look forward to that traditional Christmas parade. So those are my announcements for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kiva. Item number 17, informational items, reports from council and future agenda item requests. Mr. Grijalva?
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to remind everybody, Commodities Day this coming Monday. Again, we need volunteers. I want to thank Loretto Catholic School. They invited me for their Red Ribbon Week to discuss what Mayor and Council do. And talking about what we do in front of children, it's not that exciting to them. But they did, after I was done, they did excitedly ask me to ask the mayor to go visit them. So apparently Council isn't that popular enough to want the mayor there. I also wanted to thank Mrs. Urquijo. I can vouch for her when she says she's been very busy, because when I came to see her, she's always at a meeting. And I've caught her, I think, once in her office. So I want to thank her for putting up with me. There's hopefully a few more months of that, and then we'll see. But I want to thank you, and also Parks and Rec. I've been getting good reviews about the trunk or treat, and they can't wait for other activities. And the movie was also great. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grijalva. Anyone else in the council?
Yes.
Mr. Shelton, please.
You know, usually there's 100 houses for sale in Douglas. As of the date, there's only 38. And there's a number of houses being built. And apartments, I noticed, half-built. They get them going. There's going to be 50 new Border Patrol and Customs coming here in the next few months. Douglas, I know we lost Food City, but I think maybe we need to look at hiring a person or a business to go out and talk to some of these major businesses that are in Sierra Vista and Tucson and have them come here. There's no reason why everybody should have to go to Tucson or to Sierra Vista. We have the population here, and it looks like it's growing. I know of 3 doctors that are coming as of right now. One's here, 2, they want to come to Douglas and be part of Douglas. And that's just some of the people, and the people are coming from everywhere to buy houses here. And I think we need to really look at hiring a person, or once again, a business, to get these businesses in here, and nothing else, have them, their representatives from Sprouts or from Safeway or from all type of places. We have it, build it, and they will come. There's just too many people here for us not to have what other cities like Safford or Globe and now with the border open, you know, we have all those people coming up. I think we need to look at that. So that's my comment.
Thank you, Mr. Shelton. Anyone else? Mr. Costa?
I just would like to sincerely from my family and the bottom of my heart thank all veterans. Without their sacrifices and the sacrifices of their families, we wouldn't be able to enjoy the freedoms that we do. And just, you know, I know tomorrow's Veterans Day, but we should always make sure to thank those that have served for our country.
Amen. Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, I'm going to add one other thing. A little history here.
Did I hear something?
True history, I know.
Mr. Shelton, please.
My mother has this story. Veterans Day, World War I, she was in Kentucky. And they could hear, out in the country, they could hear the bells ringing. And what they did, my grandfather got them all together. They had rocks they would put in, hot rocks they would put in the buggy or the wagon, get the mule and go into town and enjoy the end of World War I. That's my story.
Thank you. Mr. Shelton, a couple of things I'd like to add. Many of you may be aware that last week, at the end of the week, United States Congress passed their part, which was equal to the Senate's part as far as the Jobs and Infrastructure Bill, which includes the funding of our two-port solution for Douglas, Arizona. Close to $451 million is scheduled to be in there, and I'm sure it'll go up in price a little bit as we move along. But that has been approved, it's waiting the President's signature. We already have been contacted by General Service Administration, which handles the property for those and buildings for these projects. We had a good video call with them on Tuesday, was it yesterday? Time flies when you're having fun. And they introduced us to the project manager, the real estate guy, and also the environmental person that will be handling the project. So we're excited about that. A future agenda item will come forward. Many of you maybe remember that we passed a resolution in theory regarding the donation of property at the south end of James Ranch Road. We will formalize that process and bring that back to the council here at a future meeting. Can't express the gratitude for the many years that this project's been in the making. We're finally here. If the President will sign it, I haven't heard anything why he wouldn't sign it. So we're excited, and again, it's firmly in there, and again, GSA has already contacted us and ready to go and get after this project. The Arizona Department of Transportation, we've mentioned before, has also funded $800,000 to do a design concept review of the road, of what that would mean and what right-of-way we would need to acquire, and the initial environmental portion of that road coming up to Highway 80. So things are moving along with that. We're also partnering with the county as far as getting some finalization of the study to put the water and sewer lines out to that area. And we'll start, if we can hire a planner, and if we don't, we'll contract one to start talking about the annexation that will happen out there. Also had the opportunity yesterday, along with Mrs. Morales and Mrs. Urquijo and Nubia came with us also to the Port of Entry to meet with the Port Director, Mr. Wilson, along with the Consul General, Carlo Pineda, and also that was there was the Mayor of Agua Prieta along with his team, and the new director of their aduana in Mexico to view what's happening with the entries that are coming across. They're up over 60%. My hat's off to Director Wilson to be able to configure the port to make it run as smooth as possible. We were told that our neighbors to the south have been very forthcoming. They present their crossing card in addition to their vaccine card, and things have been going very, very smoothly to allow them entry into the United States. And so that's a very positive happening for us, and wanted to make everyone aware of that. So there's some other exciting things that are going on that hopefully we'll be able to announce shortly. The 99-cent only store that you may have seen along 5th Street going into the old stage building. They are reaching out to the Food City employees to try to hire the ones that they can. And they look at trying to get the hiring process done this month so that they can start putting people on payroll in December and have a soft opening in the middle to the end of December and have a formal grand opening in January. So we're able to announce that. There's a couple other things going on that we're not at liberty to announce just yet. But as Mr. Shelton said, there's people coming and looking and wanting to be in our wonderful community. And my hat's off to our community members, because that's where they go first. And they walk around our community and they get told, hello, how's it going? And that just doesn't happen in other areas, and they're very impressed with that, the friendliness and openness of our community. And again, I can't thank our community members enough for being ambassadors for Douglas. Item number 18, adjournment. May I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Grijalva.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second that.
Second by Mrs. Morales. All in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We stand adjourned at 7:20.